The opinions and recommendations expressed by Dan are his own and do not necessarily represent the opinions of this station or any of the show's sponsors.
Welcome back, Financial Issues, American Family Radio Network. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. We are going to get back to the phones. I was trying to get a look at some of the commodity numbers, all the major indices in negative territory. I think the Dow's down around 55 right now. So we won't pay a whole lot of attention to it. It was down yesterday. I mean, we're down 150 on the last 2 days. But oil's back up. Oil's at 101.25. Just if you think, at least there's someone worried about Russia and what's going on in the Ukraine. And that would be the oil companies. But oil up to 101.25 right now. Nat gas is down 4.39. There is an abundant supply. The weather's starting to get a little warmer, so on and so forth. We're seeing industrial production slowing down in China and Asia. That shouldn't have too much of an impact on our natural gas prices. But nevertheless, we're looking at $4.39 for natural gas. But gold, I don't know if you remember, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I said it again yesterday, but I think I said Monday, gold's likely to get below 1,300. It is. It's at 1296 right now. It's down another 680 this morning. Silver at 1966. So I'm not, but if you're one of those people that are very concerned or watching gold all the time, you kind of take 2 steps or 1 step up and 2 back. Can't really make any headway, can't go anywhere. But it's at 1296 right now. And probably not going to have a good day because the dollar is staying relatively strong in the midst of all of this smoke and mirrors in our economy. So agricultural commodities, corn up about 0.33%, wheat down about 0.2%, and we're looking at cotton is the big gainer today. Cotton's up 1.66. So that's a pretty big move for cotton and cattle up. So that's what we have on the commodity front. Let me go back to the phones, 866-300-9298. Let me go to James. James calling us from Pennsylvania. Hi, James.
Hi, first-time caller and
Welcome.
1-week listener.
Oh, well, welcome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. From Malvern.
Malvern, you're not too far from me.
Yeah, I understand. I have heard about this living revocable trust.
Yes.
I wondered what it was and if it was right for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's what it is, James. It is primarily, it's a document. It is a living trust document. And the idea of it is it does a couple of things. One is it doesn't replace a will. I'll explain that in a minute. But all of your giving, your assets upon your death, your estate is dictated by the living trust. Now, there's some benefit to that. One is that it's a lot easier for your heirs to settle your estate. It happens relatively quick. There is still a will that is called a pour-over will. So the only thing you would have in your will is something very specific that you want to keep out of the trust. The reason it's called a pour-over will, if you think of it like this, is all of your assets that are not named in a trust. Your executor has the right, and they would automatically pour over and become a part of the trust and be distributed through the trust. But there may be something you want to leave out of the trust. So you might want your antique piano to go to your church. Well, in that case, you would name that in your will so that it doesn't go into the trust. You might have a painting or something that you want something very specific to go to a cousin or relative or someone that really liked it or wanted it. you would have that in your will. That's all. Everything else would be in your trust. Now, so the trust is a document. It's a legal document. You don't lose any control over your assets or anything like that. But all of your assets get renamed. Your checking account now is a trust account, and it says the James Smith, whatever your name of your trust is, dated such and such, and it's you're now, when you see your name on your checking account, it's going to have trustee next to it, so that it reveals that it's a trust account. Your mutual fund account, your investment account, your savings accounts, your house, if you had a second home, all of your assets get retitled. It doesn't change your control over any of them, but they all get retitled to the name of the trust. Everything. So now all of your assets, the majority of your assets, are in the trust. And it's important. One of the common mistakes people make is they go to a lawyer and they get a trust made up, but they never transfer all their assets in it. So it doesn't do them any good. So your heirs now are co-trustees of the trust. And upon the triggering mechanism, it's usually upon the death of the main trustee. In this case, it would be you, or if one is married, then it would be you and your spouse, but would be the main trustees. Upon their death, the trust is disbanded. It's over with. Everything gets dispersed to the trustees. Well, the trustees never inherited anything. There's nothing to inherit. There was no death that triggered an inheritance. There was a death that triggered a disbursement of something that they technically already owned. So now they get the rights to some of the cash and the checking account and all those things, but they don't have to pay any inheritance tax. So that's one of the reasons why people set up a trust account, because the loophole in the tax code allows them to avoid the federal inheritance tax and the state inheritance tax. Now, you, James, me, everybody gets a federal inheritance tax credit right now. I believe it's going to go away, or it's going to be significantly reduced. I don't mean go away in that, what I mean is going to be lowered. It's not going to go away unless we see a change in the administration. If you remember, Mitt Romney, when he was running, said the first thing he was going to do is get rid of the death tax. He thought it was double taxation. It was wrong. He was going to do away with it. So unless something like that happens, it's always going to be around. Neither the Republicans or the Democrats are real excited about getting rid of it totally, but it may get reduced. So right now there's a $3 million credit or so. So if your assets are under $3 million, then your estate's not paying any inheritance tax anyway. So it's not a concern for you right now. But if that $3 million goes to $500,000, it may be a concern.
Well, my wife and I are both in our 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and we have two children and 3 grandchildren.
Okay.
Would that be something that I should look into?
It is, James. If you have a sizable estate and your estate is going, at some point in time going to be distributed among those heirs, and then yes, it is something that you should look into.
Well, all I have is about $300,000 in assets in a home. That's all.
Oh, well then no, it doesn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be concerned about it, because I would hate to see you spend the money of $3,500, $4,000 to set up this trust, and you don't really need it. It's not going to benefit you that much.
Oh, now, one last thing. What is it, a lawyer that does this, or a financial advisor? Or?
Yeah, no, it would be a lawyer.
Oh.
So you would have to have an attorney set that up.
I cringe every time somebody says lawyer.
I do too, James.
So, okay, well, thanks ever so much. You've been very helpful.
You're welcome, and thank you for listening, and I appreciate your first-time call. Thank you so much. Let me go to David. David calling us from Virginia. Hey, David.
Yes, Good morning. Based on the numbers you gave us, I wish you were wrong. But based on that and being an old guy from the old school, I'm seriously considering going 100% cash. What do you think?
Well, here's what I'll say, David. It'll never hurt you. That is for certain. And it's nothing wrong with making an error on the conservative side like that than it would be to put it all in or keep it all in and, erring on the a little bit of an aggressive side where you could lose half of it.
Psalm 2 talks about this, the omnipotent, sovereign, reigning Lord taking care of these would-be potentates. And yet the same Bible commands that we pray for them. And I try to do that every day, but I wonder how a guy that's anti-life and anti-family and can't manage money and can't run foreign policy is in office.
Well, maybe we should be praying. You're right. We should be praying for the voters and an awakening of the voting population of America is what we ought to be praying for. And not only that, but what about all the other do-nothing so-called legislators? I'm not going to call them leaders because they're not, but legislators that are no better, and I'm talking both Republican and Democrat, that the same voters put into office over and over and over again. And there needs to be an awakening. You and I, David, know there needs to be a great awakening and a great repentance in this country. But it is baffling to us how it's impossible. When the last election, when this man was reelected, I was astounded. I shouldn't have been. But in my heart of hearts, I thought there was no possible way he was going to win. And I just was I was astounded. And I still reflect on that in astonishment. But I would probably say that, we know how the story ends, and we know that we have a sovereign God that is in control. I have been telling people, look, go 40% in the market and 60% cash. If you're already in, leave some in. But if you're well into your retirement and, are thinking about a preservation of what you have mentality, which is absolutely nothing wrong and makes a lot of sense, then again, 100% cash. Nobody wishes I were wrong more than I do as I go through the numbers. It's very, very disturbing to me. And it's even more disturbing that a guy like David in Virginia hears it only from me. That disturbs me more than anything else. I'm not that smart to be able to read between lines. I'm not reading between the lines. I'm reading the numbers. The same numbers that were posted when the GDP number. I elected to read all the numbers. Nobody else did. Or if they did, they didn't want to report it. And that's what is disturbing to me more than anything. So we sure have a lot to be praying for, David, no doubt about that. But I have no problem with you going 100% cash. I don't think you can err on that caution side. If you're in the market, you had a great year last year. You had an okay year for the first part of this year. You had a great year the year before last. There's no reason not to. If you go to cash, you're fine. So I don't have a problem with it. All right, David.
Thanks.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your call. Folks, 866-300-9298. We are living in some incredibly volatile times. Every financial analysts, though they're not saying some things, will tell you that this is going to be a year of volatility, of big swings, both downward and on the upside. This is going to be a year of volatility. And this had better be a year that we start recalibrating our thinking. And I hope everybody is doing it, that we're thinking about permanent income and we're thinking about preservation of principal. You're listening to Dan Celia, Financial Issues. We're here every day at this time talking about the economy and helping you to be the best steward you can be with all that God has given you.